Good evening, and thank you for joining us. We are excited to have so many present in our audience, and we're excited to celebrate each of you. We'll get started. Roll call, please.
Yes, Madam President, all members of the board are accounted for, and we have a quorum.
Great. Well, if you'd like to join us, please stand. Mrs. Niles is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Next, we have a number of special presentations, and Dr. Wall is going to lead us from the podium.
Thank you, Layla. We have a great turnout for a June 22nd board meeting. Thank you, parents, students, teachers, administrators. We really appreciate it. Our first recognition is I'd like to invite Miss Katie Kelly to the podium, please. She will recognize the National History Day contest state winners from Carmel High School. Katie, thank you for being here.
Thank you. We're recognizing 12 young men and women today who participated in National History Day. And for those of you guys who don't know what it is a national contest where every year they have a theme that kids across the country and actually around the world compete in. And this year's theme was Leadership and Legacy, and their projects ranged from Madam C.J. Walker to Eli Coffin to the Massachusetts 44th. They had a huge range of projects, and I'm proud I did the math, and the Carmel delegation represented a third of the Indiana representatives at the national contest, which was really cool. So without further ado, I'd like to recognize these guys for an awesome showing at the national contest. So we have Haley Adams. Guys, come on up and shake hands. Caitlin Harshberger. Jessica Moe. Jay Natarajan. Jacob Salisbury, Max Tobin, Shiva Valbanani, Sita Valbanani, and Bailey Ward couldn't be here today, but she actually earned 14th in the country for her exhibit on Marcus Aurelius. So please join me in congratulating these Greyhounds. Thank you. Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Jim, how you doing? Good to see you.
You got a big turnout.
Yeah, for June. People are still recovering from that. Continuing the theme of state champions at Carmel High School, Athletic Director Mr. Jim Inskeep will be introducing and recognizing the girls' state tennis champions. Jim?
Thank you, Dr. Wall, and members of our Board of Education. At this time, I would invite members of our girls' tennis team who are here this evening, and head coach Mike Bostic and his assistant coach Kim Smith coming up right now. The Lady Greyhounds won the state championship 2 weeks ago with a 5-0 victory over Jasper, completing another undefeated season at 20-0, and it was the third straight state championship for the team and the 8th one for head coach Mike Bostic, who's temporarily retiring as head coach of our boys and girls tennis programs after a very successful run the last 15 years. So in the season, the girls only lost 5 individual matches throughout the course of those 20 matches they played during the season, and it was also a celebration a week ago where the Greyhounds won the double state championship with Lauren Paget and Emma Love, and also the single state runner-up with Kirsten Carlson, who's a freshman. So it was a wonderful season for the girls, and I know a lot of them are playing tonight and could not be here this evening, but say thank you to our coaches and all of our parents as well, who just do a fantastic job of supporting all these young ladies and their accomplishments throughout the season.
I'd like to thank Mr. Inskeep for all his support over the years. Mr. Wolf actually hired me, and he always says that I was his best hire ever. I think he only had 2 hires, so I feel pretty good. I don't know how to take that. And the first time I was up here was in 2003, and I had a full head of hair. So it's been a great run.
If you want to keep them there, I'll take them and give back to them. Thanks. Also, 2 weeks ago, we had a fantastic weekend in Bloomington with both our girls track and field team and boys track and field teams competing at the state championships there in Bloomington at Indiana University. This time I'd like to invite members of our boys track and field team who are here this evening to come forward. These Greyhounds are led by head coach Ken Browner, who captured his first state championship as a head coach, and it was a wonderful season for the kids. The second state championship ever for our program after winning it in 2000, and after coming oh so close a year ago. These guys really came forward in the off-season and all spring really with one goal in mind, and that was to leave nothing on the table 2 weeks ago at Bloomington at IU. And we're so very proud of them. They scored in 9 different events that day, which is really unheard of at the state finals, and had contributions across the board from everyone. And it was really just a great celebration. And actually the kids had clinched it going into the last event of the evening, which never ever happens either. That evening we had 2 individual state champions, sophomore Jalen Walker in the 300 hurdles, and junior Ben Veach with a commanding victory in the 3200, following up his cross-country state championship from the fall. So at this time I'd like to have Ken Browner come forward, who's a teacher at Carmel High School as well, to introduce members of the team that are here this evening.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Dr. Wall and members of the board. Our first member is Tyrone Thomas. He was a member of our 4x400 relay team. Next we have Andrew Rigsby, who was a member of our 4x8 relay team, which also did score in the meet. Next is Teddy Browning, who ran in the 1600 and also was a member of our 4x8 relay team. Next is freshman Jimmy Snyder, got thrown in the pinch there and had to sub in for a guy that was injured, but he's going to learn and get better. Next is Mitch Leip, who was a pole vaulter. Got hurt at the very beginning of the pole vault, but still kept going on. Said, "Coach, I'm okay. I can run down the runway." And I said, "Great, do it." Next is James Griffin, who ran on our 4x400 relay team, which also placed. Next is Nick Ash, who also ran on our 4x400 relay team. Next is sophomore Jalen Walker, who won the 300 intermediate hurdles in a time of 37:74, setting the school record, and also ran on our 4x400 relay team and also on our 4x100 relay team, which also scored. And lastly is Ryan Stobeek, who ran on our 4x100 relay team, which scored in the state meet. And thank you once again, members of the board, Dr. Wall, Mr. Inskeep. Thank you so much.
That 300 hurdle, that's a tough race. That's what I said. Way to go. He's raised the bar.
And also this evening, we have a special recognition for one of our head coaches, Chris Plum. I'd like to invite up to the podium at this time. Chris has been the head coach of Carmel High School and Carmel Swim Club since 2006. And while there are a lot of Coach of the Year honors that are given across the state and across the country each year, the National High School Coaches Association is thought of as the highest honor of Coaches of the Year given in all of our sports throughout the country. This past year, in 2014-2015, Chris was named the Swimming National Coach of the Year by the NHSCA, which is a huge honor. And to put that into perspective, we've had 2 winners of this award since 2000 total within our programs. So Chris joins Frank Dixon and Chuck Keppen as winners from this award, and so it's a very esteemed group of colleagues as well. Chris has been the head coach since 2006. He's led our partners at Carmel Swim Club to new levels of achievement during his tenure. Example of this were the 17 swimmers that qualified for the 2012 Olympic trials after having 1 qualify in 2008. He has worked tirelessly for student athletes and families during his time at Carmel, and the results have shown 9 straight girls state championships and 4 boys titles in the last 6 years. This year's girls team was regarded as maybe the best in the history of high school swimming, with 3 national records set at this year's state finals. The team is also expected to be named national champions in the next couple of weeks by Swimming World magazine. Chris Plum has also served on the national level with USA Swimming, working at the National Training Center in Colorado, and also taking a team to the World Championships this past December in Asia. And his best attribute is his wife, Emily, who's also here this evening, one of our outstanding educators at Smoky Row Elementary, and his 2 children who also attend Carmel Clay Schools. So I'd like to recognize Chris at this time.
I don't know, what do you say after all that? Well, I do know this, you have to, sometimes when you work in Carmel, you're not always well liked, so, I don't win the state champion, not the state coach of the year, but I get to be national coach of the year. But I love working here. I think it's a great place to raise a family, and just the support of everybody in the room, and especially our athletic director. We couldn't be happier, and we're going to keep it up. So thank you.
Mrs. Layla Spandenberg, Board President, is at the podium now to do a special board recognition this evening. Layla.
Thank you. To paraphrase environmentalist Paul Hawken, sustainability, ensuring the future of our lives, is an infinite game and an endless expression of generosity to all. On behalf of the Carmel Clay School Board of Trustees, it gives me great pleasure to honor Bob Ewell, who has tirelessly given his gifts to our students, staff, and community for over 43 years. Bob was a teacher of industrial technology for 35 years, and then in 1995, accepted the role of the Carmel Clay School's energy manager. Through his diligent work and visionary leadership, over the last 20 years, he's made an enduring impact on several important ways. Through the programs led by Bob, Carmel Clay Schools has avoided $17 million of energy cost, $1.2 million this year alone. This money that therefore has been available to provide support to our teachers and students in many different educational endeavors. Under Bob's leadership, the U.S. Department of Education awarded Carmel High School as a Green Ribbon School. This was in recognition of a 72% decrease in energy usage, a 50% decrease in greenhouse gas emissions, and a 55% decrease in water consumption. It bears noting that these efforts started in 1995, long before most of us were thinking sustainability conservation, before we were recycling, before we purchased our high-energy appliances, before low-flow toilets. The truest measure of Bob's impact, however, lies in how he's made conservation truly sustainable in our Carmel Clay schools. While he has led efforts to save money and keep our community cleaner, he's also provided a tremendous education for our students, staff, and our community. Those learning the importance of turning off lights, turning off computers at the end of the workday, and why buildings are kept warmer during non-instructional hours have carried that behavior to their homes and to their workplaces. Students have been engaged in recycling efforts, and our entire Carmel Clay community, including students, staff, and parents, have participated on our green teams. Each of Bob's efforts to conserve resources have led to knowledge in others that truly provide sustainability. For each of these reasons, we are proud and honored to recognize Bob Ewell for his career and his commitment. We are thankful not just for what he's done, but for how his efforts will reverberate across our district for years to come. Thank you very much, Bob.
No, but I really appreciate this, and thank you. And I'd just like to say that it's been an honor to serve the community and the schools and the people that I've worked with all the 20 years that I've been here in this job. It's just been great. And two people before me said something that kind of hit home, and one is, you can see what happens, and this was after 20 years, and that sometimes not everyone likes you. And that's when you start changing temperatures and things, that's for sure, and I can guarantee you that. But we've worked through it, and I think everyone has seen the benefits of it now, and it's taken some time, and I think it will sustain now. We have another person in the job, and he's doing real well. And thank you, Dr. Wall, and for everyone's support. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. The next recognition goes to the Board of Education. The 5 board members sitting in front of you have been recognized by the State Board of Education as an outstanding board for their constant commitment to Carmel Clay schools and their constant commitment to improving the art and the effort as a board member for Carmel Clay schools. This takes hours of commitment to professional development opportunities as well as service to the community. The School Board Association has awarded this plaque to the board. It's already on display for this year, so it's my honor to recognize the 5 board members in front of you, Layla, Kathy, Pam, Patricia, and Michael, for their efforts for Carmel Clay schools, and they have been awarded by the State Board of Education as an outstanding board in the state of Indiana. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your service. Let's give them a roll now. We have now a very special Spotlight on Excellence. If I could invite Clay Principal Todd Crosby to the podium to introduce our special Spotlight on Excellence this evening. Very excited to have Todd here and recognize this for Clay Schools. Todd?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wall. Thank you, Board, ESC personnel, for giving us some time here this evening to you know, the student we're getting ready to recognize is really surrounded by greatness tonight in this room. When you look at all the athletic and academic achievements just in this room alone tonight. It's pretty impressive, and for her to be going into a family of success like that is really awesome when you think about it. I've had a chance over the last 3 years to see this particular student, Madison Ferguson, grow and develop. If Mrs. Wallstrom and Madison could possibly come up here real quick. When we look at Best Buddies as a chapter and as a program, one thing I think that's important to think about, and this is a quote that I kind of pulled out, is, and I think it truly does, explain kind of the story behind Madison's efforts. It says, "True greatness consists in being great in little things," by Charles Simmons. Madison does a lot of things that people don't always probably recognize, but it's the little things that go a long way. I remember her being a 6th grader coming in, being very, very curious, but the one thing she did immediately, she didn't stand by the side. She was determined to not be just another face in the crowd. In a building that's 1,200 plus students going on 1,300, it's very easy to fall into a situation where you just do what others want you to do. Madison was never like that. She was the one that would come up to you, immediately greet you as a 6th grader, and she would do it every day. And then I remember over the next 3 years, I would see her stand at door number 2, which is where our special needs students would always get off the bus. And nobody really ever asked her to do it. She just started doing it. And over the next 3 years, she just continued to do it. Over 2 years, we have built a Best Buddies chapter at Clay, and I'm going to allow Mrs. Wallstrom here in just a second to talk about more of the successes they've had. But when you talk about true character, Madison truly does, and it's awesome that she attended a board meeting tonight. When you're talking about true champions at the high school level, she's getting truly a chance to see that firsthand. So I know that she'll step in. I know that she'll contribute right away, and I know she'll do great things at the high school. So I'm very, very proud of her and Mrs. Wallstrom as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Wallstrom now.
Thank you, Todd, and thank you, Dr. Wall, and members of the board. If you're not familiar with Best Buddies, it's an international organization that fosters one-to-one friendships for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And as Mr. Crosby said, we've been in existence at Clay for a couple of years, but we had an absolutely outstanding year this year in terms of sustained active members and, most importantly, in meaningful friendships developed that I am sure will be lasting friendships. And that is due to the efforts of Madison Ferguson. In April, Best Buddies Indiana named Madison as the outstanding middle school chapter president in the state, and it was absolutely no surprise to those of us who work with her on a daily basis. So we want to recognize Madison for her efforts, and I'd like to give her an opportunity. I think you developed a PowerPoint or a video to let you see what she does.
Mackenzie, you can come stand by me now. Okay. I'm scared. Here, you can stand right there. Hi guys, thanks for inviting me. My name's Madison Ferguson, as they said, and I'm from Clay Middle School, and I was the chapter president of Clay Middle School's Best Buddies. Throughout my life, I've been really involved in helping people with disabilities. In preschool, my best friend Kyle had Down syndrome, and in 4th and 5th grade at Woodbrook Elementary, I was a peer buddy and I went down to the life skills classrooms every lunch and recess and hung out with my friends in the life skills class. In 7th grade, I got really involved in Clay Middle School's Best Buddies, and in 8th grade, I was elected Best Buddies president. Throughout the 2 years of Clay Middle School's Best Buddies, I've been in several activities and got a chance to organize some of them. And the activities include basketball games, Best Buddies friendship walks, Ghosts and Goblins 5K, pumpkin patch, pumpkin carving, sleepovers, makeup parties, movies, parks, swimming, Christmas outings, laser tag, out for pizza, birthday parties, texting, FaceTiming, and just hanging out. And really, as you can see, this is what all friends do. It doesn't matter if you have a disability or not a disability. All friends just like to hang out, and that's what we do, right, Mackenzie? Yeah. So I've put together a video of some of the activities we've done through the past years. Oh,
Count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me.
So last summer, I had an amazing opportunity to attend the Best Buddies Leadership Conference. It was held at IU, and it was 4 days long. And I learned several tips on how to lead Best Buddies meetings, organize events, spread the mission, fundraise, recruit new members, acceptance and inclusion. And this year, I actually have the opportunity to go to the Best Buddies Leadership Conference again. And the theme is I'm In, and it's to engage, empower, and impact the lives of people with disabilities. So one of the biggest events that we had this chapter was a 2015 Friendship Walk, and it was the Best Buddies Friendship Walk, and we fundraised all year during lunches, during everything in school. And I actually fundraised outside of school with a website, email, raffle with some help with other people, and a door-to-door with Mackenzie. And I was awarded Chapter President of the Year, which was awesome, and it was really cool. We ended up raising $1,275, which was awesome because my goal was $1,000, and it was just amazing when I found out we raised this much. Thank you for listening, and remember, just accept everybody. If you have a disability, if you don't, just everything. If anybody has any questions, I'll love to answer. Oops. No? Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to invite all those special recipients this evening and presenters to B3. Jennifer Schwab will be there. She wants to get some pictures so we can put them up on our website. So right behind the reception area, if you'd follow Jennifer right there, get some photos. And parents, if you want to take pictures, that'd be fantastic too. Thank you so much for being a part of our evening.
Thank you.
You're going to enjoy the library board.
Mm-hmm. Seeing that we do not have any no. Public participation. Since there's nobody wishing to speak before the board, we'll go straight to consent. As far as we can tell. Yes. May I get a motion to approve consent?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. First item for discussion is our materials rental and fee changes. Dr. Dudley?
Yes, thank you. This evening, I bring before you for discussion materials rental and fee changes, and the attached spreadsheet has rental changes and fee changes for the 15-16 school year. Some of the fee changes are due to new adoptions, such as social studies adoptions. Some of the fee changes, as you see on the sheet, are due to a slight increase in the consumable text. Some are a decrease in fees. It just all depends. So I have this before you for discussion, and I plan to bring it for action at the July meeting.
Questions? Yes.
Really not a question, but more just for my information. If a student qualifies for free or reduced lunch, does that somehow affect the cost of materials? Do they get assistance for that as well?
Yes, they do not pay the rental or the fees.
Other questions? Okay. Okay, wow. Fantastic.
Great.
Thank you, Dr. Dudley. Moving right along, we have action. First, our materials adoption. Dr. Dudley.
Thank you. And this evening, I bring back before you our elementary social studies adoption and also our 6th grade English language arts adoption. As you'll recall, I brought it to you previously in our prior board meeting to look at our changes for our elementary social studies and also our English language arts for action this evening.
Thank you very much. May I get a motion on the table to approve materials adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All right. All in favor? Aye. Next, we have our bus driver agreement. Mr. McMichael.
Thank you. Some time ago, I met with representatives of the Bus Drivers Association, and we came to a proposed agreement, which is before you this evening. Bus drivers have voted on this proposal, and so they have ratified. The recommendation is to increase their salary schedule by $2 per step, and they would also, those entitled would also receive an increment. To contribute to an HSA for those choosing the high deductible plan of either $1,000 if they're taking single or $2,000 if they're taking family coverage, or an equivalent stipend if they're over 65, because those individuals would not be eligible for this contribution. And then to move their, if they have a 401A or 403B retirement funds, that we would propose to move those funds from the current mutual fund platform, to a mutual fund platform from the current annuity platform. So that's the recommendation with regard to the bus drivers agreement.
Thank you very much. Mr. McMichael, may I get a motion on the table to approve the bus driver agreement?
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Mr. McMichael, if you could just clarify the rationale behind the moving of the 401A and 403B retirement funds from the annuity platform to the
mutual fund.
Yes, thanks.
Well, we've been reviewing this for at least a year with regard to on the district's behalf, and the primary motivation is that the fees are considerably less for mutual funds versus the annuity. The annuities is an insurance product, and so with that, there's an additional fees that are paid for that insurance element. The element has to do with guaranteeing the principal contribution,
most of our employees are their investments have well exceeded what they're initially contributing, and so they're really paying a high price for that insurance element. That's not the only part of it, but that's a significant part of the fee. A consultant that we're working with has estimated that if all of our employees were on a mutual fund platform, that the fees would be reduced at least $300,000 a year, at least. Now that's to the employees. Financially, it doesn't affect the school district. It's the employee that's paying the fee, not the school district. So you'll see in a later report, but we're recommending this for all of our non-teacher employees, that we move this program because we think it's in the employee's best interest.
Thank you very much. Other questions? Okay. Well, then let's take a vote. All in favor of supporting a bus driver agreement as indicated on the recommendation, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Next, we have the non-bargaining group, salary and benefits, 2015 to 16. Mr. McMichael.
Thank you. The first group is administrators, department chairs, student service coordinators, occupational therapists, physical therapists, and nurses. The second group is all support staff. And so first, with regard to the administrators and department chairs and so forth, the recommendation is a 2% increase to all salary schedules plus increment. Also a 1.5% of salary stipend for the employees that are rated effective or highly effective. Also a contribution to an HSA for those choosing the high deductible plan. And finally, again, the move the 401A and the 403B retirement funds to a mutual fund platform. Now, the very same recommendation is made for support staff with the exclusion of the 1.5% stipend because those employees are not evaluated under the same method and therefore they're not rated as effective or highly effective. And then the final recommendation is with regard to the administrator's benefit booklet under Article 6, deferred compensation. There's a provision that provides for a contribution to a 401A for the high school principal, the assistant superintendent, and the associate superintendent. And this addition would provide that if either any of those administrators are eligible to retire, that they would, with unreduced benefits from the teacher's retirement fund, that administrator may choose to receive this benefit as salary rather than a contribution into a tax shelter. And so that's the recommendations for these employee groups.
Thank you very much, Mr. McMichael. May I get a motion on the table to approve the non-bargaining group salary benefits for 2015-16?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Tricia. Second?
Second.
Discussion. Yes, Mrs. Niles.
Yes, in the on the therapist's salary schedule, who is considered therapists for that schedule?
Well, it would be, Ryan might need to help me here, but it's all of our occupational therapists
OTs and
our
PTs?
PT, yes, physical
And that's
therapists.
it?
That's it.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
correct.
there's
Okay, so speech,
Speech
are
those
different.
are teachers, covered under teacher's contract.
okay.
So
And,
not a part of this recommendation.
and the school psychologists are in the teachers?
That's
Correct.
correct.
Okay. Under department chair, I still had a question about the little schedule
Yes.
at the bottom of the
Mhm.
page.
The ABC.
Yes.
Yep.
It says 2015-16,
Yes.
and since we are changing the salary schedule and going to the steps, just wondering why that compensation is still involved or still being added into their compensation package.
Because in a later report, there's a recommendation to change their schedule, and essentially.
But it says it's effective July 1st, 2015.
Well, this raise is. So I don't want to confuse this recommendation with a recommendation to change salary schedule. That's a it's related perhaps, but it's a different recommendation. But to answer your question, a department chair, we'll get to that in the other report perhaps, but the department chair is paid off of a step schedule, as you're aware, and then they also receive a stipend. That within that stipend, it provides for the responsibilities as a department chair. It also includes compensation for 2 additional days of work, and so. And it varies depending on the size of their department. Thus, there's an A schedule and a B schedule and a C schedule, and there's some, differing amounts that are paid based on whether they're getting the A, B, or C. So, the changes that are being proposed later would have no impact on that. In fact, if we eliminated that, all but 3 of our department chairs would experience a significant reduction in pay, because the proposal that you'll receive later regarding the department chair schedule affects 3 department chairs out of, 30 or 40. And so that's why it wouldn't be appropriate to eliminate that stipend.
Okay, I'm still a little confused on the stipend, but, I was thinking that would be included within the salary schedule itself. All of the things that you mentioned would be part of the inclusive amount.
Well, until maybe 2 years ago, the schedule that we're referring to for department chairs was the identical schedule for teachers.
Teachers.
If they did not receive the stipend,
I understand
the ABC,
that, but
well, my point is if they didn't receive that, there'd be no motivation to take the responsibility of being the department chair.
Right.
And working the additional days and so forth. So that's why that's there, and that's why it would need to continue to be there, because
but
it's not.
But this 2% is to the new salary schedule that you're.
Yes, but this 2% is just giving them, along with every other employee, a 2% increase.
But it's to the new one, not the old one.
Correct. But the new one and the old one are one and the same, except that the top 9 steps have been eliminated on the new one, which affect 3 people.
So out of our, would you say
30 some department chairs. So of the 30.
27 of them are already at 10 or more.
Yes.
So we're just eliminating the top.
Yes. And as far as those 27 are concerned, any change we're proposing to the department chair schedule has no impact to them at all.
Okay.
Okay, so but there are 3 who are not currently at step 10.
That's correct.
So they're going to jump to step 10?
Yes.
And get a 2% increase?
Yes. And and they'll continue to be the lowest paid department chairs that we have.
Well, yeah, by default, but
Other questions? Okay. Well, I suppose I do have a question. Where exactly are they on the 0 to 9? Are they at step 1?
No.
Okay. I think that's some of the concerns of the board, that we're going from somebody who might be a step 2 and jumping all the way to a step 10.
No, first
That's
we
a
are,
pretty significant pay
Yeah.
increase in addition to 2%.
Yeah, I don't have that off the top of my head, but they're definitely not at step 1. I think one of them is at step 8, for example. One may be at step 6. These are, after all, people that have been selected as being the best candidate to lead that department and supervise people who are making considerably more money than they are because of the way we pay. And so and yet they, not others, who perhaps are more experienced, have been chosen as the best to lead that department, just for what it's worth.
Thank you.
does this compare, is a good comparison to our neighboring school districts as how they pay their department chairs, and or would we have any way of knowing that even?
I don't know, just because I haven't had occasion to look. I can tell you from my previous experience in other school districts that department chairs' pay had no relationship. In one district in particular that I was at, had no relationship to a teacher schedule, and I can tell you that their beginning salary was relative to the time was considerably higher than what the proposal that we're making would be our beginning salary for department chair. Now, that's just one school district and one example that I had personal experience with, but I really haven't checked other districts, so I don't know.
I have another.
Pam, go ahead.
I'm probably jumping the gun here, but will assistant principals be compensated for degrees that they get, or?
No.
Okay, so they're just going to be following the steps and that's it. So if they get.
Yeah, none of our administrators have a schedule that reflects degree, except the ones that we're proposing to change, including the elementary assistant principals. So the proposals that is being made for that group would put them in line schedule-wise, format-wise, identical to every other administrator that we have. They're all all of our administrators are on a 9-step schedule, and it's a single line schedule. That is, it does not have what we call lanes,
right,
moving from left to right based on your degree. So an elementary principal, whether they would have a bachelor's degree, which isn't likely, or a doctorate degree, would have no impact on their pay. Might have an impact on whether they're selected for the job, but if that degree has a value, I would suggest it comes into play at the time we're selecting the candidate in the first place.
Okay, so they're moving from a teacher's salary, which has the lane changes, to this. Now, is that going to be affecting any of them detrimentally?
No. I would say, in my opinion, no, in that they're not going to receive any reduction in pay. Now, okay. I'm hesitating a little bit because the proposed schedule for elementary assistant principals does not top out as high as they could potentially make under the arrangement, under the schedules that they're currently paid. So if I'm an elementary assistant principal and I thought, I'm going to stay here for my career, then I might see this as I would see this as detrimental, because I would know that 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, I would have made more money on the current schedule than I'm going to make on the proposed schedule. And once I arrive at that higher amount, I'm going to be higher for the rest of my career, which could be another 30 years or 25, whatever, and depending on their age and how long they work. And so I'm hesitant to say that it absolutely wouldn't be detrimental to anybody, because it would depend upon what their intentions were as far as in the job. If they were intending to see that job as a career position, meaning their entire career, they very well would see that as they should see it as detrimental financially.
Okay, so the schedules you gave us, do they include the 2%, or is the 2% being added to that?
It's being added because, and the reason it's being added is because
we haven't approved it yet.
Well, no, it's not that. That too, certainly, but it would need to be added in order, because every comparison that you've received and so forth is all compared current to current. So if they hadn't changed schedules, the recommendation would still be to give them essentially a 2% raise plus increment. So we can't very well, so we wouldn't move them to the new schedule and then not give it a raise and not give it an increment, because it was compared to the current schedule.
Okay, so these will have a 2% addition to them?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. That really explains a lot. Other questions? Okay, well then let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of supporting the non-bargaining group salary and benefits for 2015-16 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Wall, to you next for the communication handbook.
Yeah, we have the communication handbook that was presented at our last board meeting by Jennifer Schwab, our communications liaison for the district, covering a lot of best practice that we have in-serviced our district leadership team on, as well as PTOs and other organizations that we want to facilitate and help with best practice and communication. As you know, it's been an ongoing work as we look at a communication plan from last year to this year. We're very excited that this is becoming a reality and a handbook that we want to be user-friendly, and evolving, because as you know, with social media, things evolve, and want to continue to do best practice as we look at how we communicate with our constituents, with our stakeholders, and real excited for this recommendation this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Wall. I get a motion on the table to approve the communication handbook as described.
So moved.
Oh. Okay, again, was that Kathy?
In harmony, isn't it?
Go.
Concert.
First by Kathy. May I get a second?
Second.
Pam. Discussion.
I have just one question.
Please go ahead, Pam.
Yes. How often will this be looked at and reevaluated? Will it be on a yearly basis?
I'd say, like I said, it'd be ongoing, because we see this as a document that is alive, that we in-service our district leadership team on. And as we see things that need to be changed, we want to change them in real time. We've changed some, I've changed them in mid-year if we need to. This needs to be a handbook that is really user-friendly, so I'd say as needed.
Dr. Wall, could you remind us again where this will be located?
What we're going to do is we're going to have the documents on the intranet for all of our personnel, administrators, building public relations personnel to have access to it, and then the plan on the internet on our website for stakeholders to see as well. So we'll have it in 2 different locations.
Thank you very much. Yes, Tricia.
Just a quick comment. I just want to make sure we note that, like Dr. Wall said, that this has been an ongoing process, and one of our goals and priorities of the board for the district is transparent communication. So I appreciate it. I just want to, I don't know, shout out or something, because not only is it updated, but it's a workable document. So I think that's really useful, and I know a lot of people put a lot of work into it. So
thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. Comments? Great. All in favor of supporting our communication handbook as described, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Next, administrative reorganization, phase 3.
As we've been working on the last 2 years and bringing to the board consideration for administrative reorganization, the 3rd phase of this has been reallocation, and what that consists of is taking a look at current resources and current positions that we have and looking to see how we want to go forward with those duties and functions defined by positions and reallocate resources to support the initiatives that we believe are important for Carmel Clay Schools. The recommendation this evening takes current allocation of funds and suggests reallocation of that with an emphasis on building level and human resources, as you can see. By taking a look at these recommendations, the sustainable annual salary saving cost to administrative functions and administrative salaries is an annual savings and a sustainable savings of $25,850 as we look at restructuring this. As you can see in the notes, adding a 10-month assistant principal at the high school, that would be the first administrative position, assistant principal, added at Carmel High School since 2008, and Carmel High School has grown 750 students since that time. So, and you can see the other allocation is to put an emphasis on HR, as we are a people business. And the other schedules that have been talked about in previous item are attached as well, because as we look at reallocation and reorganization, those changes that we're suggesting, recurring cost and savings, the net of that again of all those things is spending $25,850 less on salaries. So we're excited to, again, back to things in motion. That organization of reallocation continues, and we hope to meet the needs at the building level and, in this case, human resources, because we're a people business.
Well, thank you much, Dr. Wall. We really appreciate cost savings. Make it a motion on the table to approve administrative reorganization, phase 3 reallocation. Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Wonderful. Next, strategic plan.
Again, a very exciting item. I want to give a shout out to the Board of Education. The work that you took on reaffirming the vision statement behind us, personalizing the mission statement, and really exciting time is to really embrace the core belief statements that you guys put together. That's just commendable at so many levels, because that's not an easy task to do. The guiding principles that we have now will become our non-negotiables for anything we do, as far as programmatically for students, as far as how we treat each other within the district, and how we want others to treat everyone from student to teacher to support staff. Very excited to recommend to the board and commend you for the strategic plan that we're recommending this evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wall. Make it a motion on the table to approve the strategic plan.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. And Dr. Wall, back to you. Our district plan.
The action plan adoption for 15, 16, and beyond, what we did is put together recommended action plan for next year and beyond, and we tried to show a timeline, as you can see on one of the final pages of the report, because it's important to note that some of these initiatives that we're suggesting will be ongoing, and much like we've done the last 2 years, not everything's going to be done in 1 year. Example, the middle school program evaluation, we overtly stated this would take a year and a half to do it properly, as far as engaging the stakeholders, looking at best practice, then looking at how to operationalize it, bringing back to the board consideration of how we do this. That took over a year and a half, which was good. Many of these other initiatives, we believe, will be somewhat like that and be ongoing. Some will be things that we directly take resources and try to have done next year, and those are vital for some of the operational things. A learning management system is a good example of that. That's going to be something we work very diligently on. We see the value of it not only as from a communication standpoint, from an instructional education standpoint as well. And again, back to kind of analogous to the communication plan, we will see some of these things in real time, and I will come back to you, as I've done in the past, and report to you how we're progressing. And as we do with other things, we may know more in November than we do today, and this will be a living document as well, and bringing back reports and bringing back information and bringing back suggested modifications, tweaks. The key to this is not only acting on it, but communicating the progress toward it. It's an implementation as much as an action plan. So suggest that kind of practice as well. Ongoing updates, ongoing progress, status, reports from committees as we've done in the past. Similar format that interfaces very well with the goal areas that have been adopted in the strategic plan and the previous item. So again, very excited to move forth with taking the strategic plan and getting things done in concert with the strategic plan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wall. Make it a motion on the table to approve our district action plan for 2015-16 and beyond.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Pam?
Yes. Will the action plan be located on our website?
Yes. At the conclusion of the evening, and then for tomorrow, and I've already talked to Jennifer about this, the strategic plan and action plan will be on our website tomorrow, prominently displayed, because just like we have the past 2 years, we want this to be a very open, transparent document. I'd also suggest that the research findings that we receive be a part of the transparency,
okay,
to show that not only was this thoughtful, but it's reflective too, and we have 55 pages of reflection there that represent our stakeholders. I would strongly recommend that be a part of our website as well. Very proud of that. We've got great information for current residents, for our future residents, for our staff, faculty. So I'd recommend all of us that this be a part and very open for us, all of us, to see and continue to make this a work in progress.
One other question. I know that you're going to be bringing the information to the board as a lot of these items are completed, or what, your progress on these items. How will they be, will the public be able to see that progress as well on our website? Will they know that what's been completed, what still needs to be worked on?
What we've done in the past is we've done board reports and posted those on the board recap as well as on the board run. So that's one way. As I suggested last board meeting, I want to be more overt about timelines. So I would suggest that we have more, reporting on the website as well. And I also want to highlight that you're going to be seeing back from me this fall suggested district dashboard to measure how we're doing as well.
Okay.
That'll be part of it too, Pam, because those will be indicators we're looking at measuring the success of the implementation. So it'll be twofold.
Thank you. Kathy.
I just want to comment that it's good to see that we're hitting the road running, whatever that expression is, and looking at some of the staffing, additional building positions that you've come forth with are very much needed, and I think that it shows our commitment to doing what's best for the students. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other comments or questions? Okay, well then let's take a vote. All in favor of supporting our plan? Good, do that? Aye. Aye. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Dr. Wall, back to you. Big report.
I want to highlight something that I continue to observe here that is just impressive, and that would be the continuous efforts of all of our staff to improve what they do. It really is striking to me to see our administrators, our teachers, our support staff work diligently to improve the craft or the responsibility that they have working with our children. It's just striking to me that the end of the year, last quarter of the year, being in the building, seeing all these efforts. I know this may sound, I don't know, trite, but it's really impressive. The desire of everyone to really improve what they do, and it's something I don't take for granted. And I just wanted to highlight that tonight and just really express how impressed I am with that part of the culture of Carmel Clay Schools. It's alive and well. And the good news is the kids and the families are the recipient of that. So it was just a great way to see the year end. So I just want to share that with the board.
You can, and I'll also make a comment.
I just want to thank you for that, because that has been a goal of many of the teachers for a long time in this district and has not always been recognized. So I really appreciate the fact that you recognize the hard work and the time spent in and out of the classroom for all the staff.
Yeah.
Thank
By
you.
everybody. Thank you.
Well, my other comment, similar to yours, to piggyback, I have been here a number of times this summer already, and it is so exciting to see so many of our teachers just coming in willfully on their own volition to partake in professional development. I know as a district we've been providing that, and there's different classes, and while nobody's required, the parking lot is completely full. So I'm glad that I struggled to find a parking place, because so many teachers are really engaged. It's wonderful. So thank you for recognizing their efforts.
Absolutely.
Any other comments? Thank you, Dr. Wall.
Thank you.
Now, moving on to board reports. Tricia, I believe you have a legislative report.
I do. Even though the session's up, I do have a legislative report. Today I attended the ISBA Grassroots Initiative Seminar. Though some districts have organized locally to be proactive working with their state legislators, Carmel Clay being one of them, it's really never been done at a state level. In the past, ISBA has shared broad statements of support, or legislative resolutions as they would call them. But from now on, this initiative will have them have these be more specific, more clarified, really more aligned on what we've done as a district, a board on behalf of our district, except that they will include talking points, and when appropriate, even suggested language in a bill format, so that our legislators will know exactly what we're talking about and give them specific information. This is really a new effort to organize school district communities across Indiana to be actively involved in the conversation on what's best for our kids. So as this goes on, I really was at this meeting today, so our board will need time to digest the information, get the information, the legislative liaisons that were there, and there were other board members there too, all asked Dr. Smith of ISBA, don't just send the information to us, send it to the whole board. So we'll help orchestrate the conversation, but again, transparent communication. So look for information to be coming forward on that, and then we'll have time to discuss it in the appropriate fashion and keep everybody posted, obviously. And then secondly, as you know, during the past legislative session, our board followed several bills closely, and one was Senate Bill 500, the Education Deregulation Bill. One part of this law establishes a 10-member school data reporting committee tasked to provide recommendations to the state board, streamlining the number of reports and also how those reports, how that data is reported. And I'm excited to share that I've been selected from the ISBA as the board member to represent board members across the state on this committee. So to prepare, because it's quite a daunting task ahead, and it's really spilled out in legislation. So although it's like a 218-page law, it's about a sixth of the way in, then we'll describe it. But to prepare, I met with Dr. Wall and Dr. Dudley. Dr. Dudley is our administrator who signs off on a lot of this reporting data for our district, and found out from this meeting that a kudos goes out to Chris Reinking, who does a lot of work too, and I've never met this individual and I'm already impressed. But Dr. Dudley reviewed the numerous reports that go on, the different systems that the DOE uses to collect this information, and then I asked her to share, we all talked about some of the inefficiencies in this process from the frontline point of view, and so that I can take that information forward. And I've also met with Seamus Boyce, who is one of our district attorneys, but also one of the attorneys who helped draft the original language for the bill, and also helped, was key in contacting different districts to get their input on, it didn't just come down from the top. He really reached out and got information on how this works in different districts. So I've met with him, and he reviewed specific language, specific things, how to translate specific language for things for me to work on in the committee to really watch out for, to make sure they fall in line. And if, and it should all go in line with how the language of the law is written, because it's the law now, this process should be streamlined in an unbelievably fast timeline. So we'll see how that works out. Really kind of by August 1st is when our recommendations should be out. So that's pretty fast. We meet in first time in 2 weeks. So of course, again, I'll keep you updated. But I do want to take a moment at this point just to thank anyone who spoke to a senator or representative on behalf of Senate Bill 500 or any kind of deregulation effort, because that'll help put time and money out of some duplicative and inefficiencies in the administrative end, put it in the classroom.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, Tricia. And Mike, I believe you have something to share from the CRC.
Yes, thank you. As a member of this board, I also sit on the Carmel Redevelopment Commission board. And just a quick update, few highlights from our meeting last week on June 17th. I think everybody's going to be excited to see repairs to the reflecting pool at Carmel City Center should be done by July 4th. Also, there's a number of other development projects that continue to move forward. Both of those things are in the news sometimes about Carmel and its efforts to continue the development that has started. And then more on a technical note, the Carmel Redevelopment Commission will be providing the required written notice to all taxing units, including Carmel Clay Schools, that the CRC intends to use all available TIF revenues, and so there will be no excess TIF revenues going to refunded to the taxing units. Not that that's probably a surprise, but those funds will be continued to use to pay debt service and other redevelopment initiatives.
Now, I've got a question about that. Do they get to just decide that, or is that who decides how TIF money's used?
I believe they do, the commission does get to decide that there is probably a requirement that there's projections that that amount of funding will be needed to cover debt service. There have been, before my involvement on that board, there have been issues in terms of, and actually in the mayoral election, whether there are sufficient funds to cover the commitments going on to the future. So, you know, I guess hopefully that answers your question, but.
Did we know this, Roger?
Well, I didn't know it this year, but I've known it for the last 20.
Yeah, I believe the notice was going out today to Dr. Wall's attention, but so if it wasn't received, it will be shortly.
Thank you very much. Do we have other questions or comments? Yes, Pam.
Yes, I just want to say that Kathy and I attended the ISBA School Law Seminar on June 12th. Found it very interesting. We received this booklet, very nice sized booklet, and the sessions were very informative, and the last session gave us a lot on the new laws that are out there and court cases and things. Those were all very interesting as well. So we've given a copy of the book to Dr. Wall, and he gets to enjoy reading.
Pam, is there information in your booklet that we will need to use in the policy committee to maybe update or revise what we currently have on our records?
Yes, there was quite a few things as we discussed, as they discussed issues that I jotted down and came back and checked out our policies, and there are some policies that need to be updated.
Well, I look forward to doing that with you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, just a quick reminder that we have a board retreat on July the 10th. More specific information will be coming forth, but I think we should plan to have that as an all-day affair. Is it going to be at the library? Mm-hmm. Okay. Same venue as last year. Same as last year. We'll give you more details, Mike.
Yeah, we'll send out an agenda and itinerary.
And then we'll have one regular session, as we've had in the past in July, and that'll be on the 20th, so there will be no workshop. It'll just be one business meeting on July 20th. And with that, meeting adjourned.